Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be reviewing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 13-3 loss versus the Tennessee Titans in what was a really boring game with a few positives, but mostly negatives, right? There was not a ton to love from this game, and let's just dive right in. And typically with these, I do go down the list of all the players. Firstly, the quarterbacks. Kyle Trask did not have a good game, folks. He was 11 of 24, 105 yards, 1 interception, sacked 4 times on the night, had 2 fumbles, lost one of them, or no, I believe he recovered both of them. I don't believe he lost any of his fumbles, but still. He's holding on to the football a little bit too long. He did have the interception. He did have a couple of nice throws, which is an important thing to note, but this was a game that was reminiscent of Kyle Trask from last preseason. It wasn't a great game for Kyle Trask. Not all necessarily his fault. Some of the wide receivers did have a couple of drop passes here or there. The offensive line was very shaky in some situations as well, but all in all, it was not a good game for Kyle Trask. Pretty disappointing to see, considering Trask did build some good momentum for himself in last week's preseason game and came out with a pretty big dud of a game in this one. However, the running game did have some positives. Keyshawn Vaughn had 54 rushing yards in this game today. Rachaad White had 19 yards. Rachaad White did have a fumble that he lost. Unfortunately, again, wasn't really a good game for the entirety of the offense as a whole. Leonard Fournette also had 20 yards rushing in this game. In the receiving room, Tyler Johnson, 2 catches, 24 yards. Devin Tompkins, 2 catches for 38 yards. That is pretty much it. Rachaad White had a catch for 16. Scotty Miller had a catch for 15. Stearns had 2 catches for 13 yards, but really, the wide receivers were struggling to get separation. Trask was struggling with some of his throws. Just wasn't a good game offensively under any circumstances. The offensive line struggled as well. Trask was getting pressured on a good amount of plays throughout this game. Aaron Stinney sustained an injury. I already had an entirely separate video talking about that news. Of course, when there are any updates regarding Aaron Stinney's injury, we will be talking about them in a separate video, but just a really meh showing from the entirety of the Buccaneers offense as a whole in this game today. You gotta hope that the backups are able to play better moving forward. Todd Bowles had even said in the joint practices with the Titans that the team looked sluggish, the team looked tired out there. Very much carried over into this game, especially on the offensive side of things. On the defensive side of things, Olakunle Fatukasi had a really good game today. 10 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. Fatukasi might have very well made this 53-man roster with the way he has been playing the past 2 preseason games. He has been looking fantastic. A guy like Grant Stewart, who has been missing time due to injuries and whatnot, could be in danger of, losing a roster spot or potentially being placed on a IR type situation due to the play of Fatukasi. He has really been a solid contributor for this Buccaneers defense 2 games into the preseason so far. He was a treat to watch. Fellow inside linebacker KJ Britt, though, did struggle in this game with tackling. He got juked out of his shoes by a Titans running back at one point. He also just wasn't a great tackler in this game. He finished the night with 3 total tackles. Pat O'Connor had a half sack and a quarterback hit. D. Delaney had a pass deflection, 5 total tackles. Deidrin Sennett, who was very solid in this game in my opinion, 5 total tackles, 2 solo, a half sack, and a quarterback hit. Joe Tryon Shawinka was another player who had a really good game. 3 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Chris Cooper had a tackle for loss. You had Jordan Young finish with half a sack and a quarterback hit. Andre Anthony, the 7th round draft pick from LSU, had 2 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 quarterback hit. The pass rush, I felt, did a decent job today. 4 sacks, you had 6 tackles for loss, you had 9 quarterback hits. The pass rush did some good stuff. Willington Prevlian, by the way, had 2 quarterback hits. Shout out to him. Those were the only 2 stats he logged in this game. But point being, the pass rush did some very, very good stuff against quarterbacks Malik Willis and Logan Woodside. I was happy to see that. In the secondary, Don Gardner had an interception finally. He should have had one last week. He got it this week. He is another one of those guys, much like in the case of Fadu Kasi, who is making a legitimate case to make this 53-man roster. I thought he had a good game overall. D. Delaney, I thought, did some good stuff. I talked about him. 5 tackles, 1 pass deflection. He was good in pass coverage in this game. McMichael even had a little bit of a bounce back with a couple of nice plays here or there in this game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But while there were some standouts on the defensive side, again, I've got to reiterate this point. The offensive side left a lot to be desired. So it was good that there were some positives from the defensive side of things in this game. And even in special teams, you could say there were some positives here. Ryan Succop made all of his kicks. He was 1 of 1 on his field goal today. Again, I think it, Evan Wanish may say I overreact, but I still think that Ryan Succop will probably be the Buccaneers kicker moving forward now. We didn't see any of Jose Borregales in this game. Maybe that is pretty telling that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to hide Jose Borregales away a little bit, so maybe they can try and stash him on the practice squad. I will fight you in a boxing match, Evan Wanish of the Cannon Fire podcast. And then finally, Jake Camarda punting the football today. 7 total punts, an average of 50 yards per punt, 1 touchback, 1 inside the 20-yard line. It was a fantastic bounce back game for Jake Camarda. Really, the special teams unit as a whole looked really solid in this game. Besides punt coverage, that was not good in the slightest. That has still been an issue for this team. Punt and kickoff coverage, they have to find some guys who can be successful at punt and kickoff coverage, because it was not good in this game today. But the kicker and punting duo of Succop and Camarda looked good, and that is another positive that we can take away from this very boring, lackluster game. But folks, that is it for this review. Again, it's a shorter review because, quite frankly, there wasn't a lot to talk about from this game. There were some positives on defense. There were some few positives on offense, but all in all, this was a very kind of game overall, especially from the offensive side of things. This game could have went very, very differently. Could have even been a shutout if the offensive side of things would have been better. And while there were some positives like Vaughn, besides that, Vaughn, Fournette, maybe Tompkins, if you want to say, hey, he made a couple of nice catches, it was tough. It was a tough game to watch. Kyle Trask struggled in this game. The offensive line struggled in this game. Aaron Stinney got hurt. Luke Gedeke, by the way, did not look good in this game. He had 2 holding penalties and gave up a sack on Kyle Trask. So, we'll see how that left guard battle does now. It was just a tough game to watch. But folks, that is it for this review. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about this game down in the comment section below. Do you agree with some of the things that I said? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.